If you want to support Slopes Game Room, then please click the links that you see in the top comments. Nowadays, every time a new big property hits the market and does well, your mobile phone app store of choice gets full to the brim with endless amounts of copycats not caring about what copyright law they are gonna be ripping off. They just want to use the likeness for the monies, am I right? Well, this has always been the case. Yep, as far back as gaming goes, way before your Matrix phones took the idea and ran with it, video games have gone to extreme lengths to rip off as much as possible and then act dumb when people call them out on it. And you know what? Enough is enough. Today I've managed to pull together 7 of the most extreme examples of obvious copycatting from video games past, some of which have gone completely unrecognised until right now. Hi everybody, I'm Daniel Wibberton from Slopes Game Room and this is 7 games full of stolen trademarks. Let's start with the obvious one, quite literally one of the greatest video games ever made and by far the best on this list, The Revenge of Shinobi. Yep, after the arcade smash hit that was the original Shinobi, Sega decided to make a sequel that was far more geared towards the home market. And as we all know from those classic 90s adverts that fill in the gaps for us gaming historian type channels, Sega was after a more mature 90s audience than the competition, which is why us Sega fans had our pick of way more licensed video game stuff than anyone else. You got Last Battle, which was based on the popular Japanese manga series Osomatsu-kun Hashimeka Gekijo, which was based on another manga. There's obviously Rambo 3, and best of all, Arnold Palmer Tournament Golf. All of these games came out within about a year of the system's launch, and shortly after, their 19th release was The Revenge of Shinobi. But what's the big deal with Shinobi, I hear nobody ask whatsoever, because anybody that would have played it would have seen the sheer amount of blatant copycatting going on in this game. Let's count them all, shall we, in the original Japanese 1.00 release. There's Rambo, The Terminator, Spider-Man, Batman, Godzilla, and the title screen gives a striking resemblance to Japanese superstar Sonny Chiba from the TV show Shadow Warriors. Now guys, to be fair, Sega did technically hold the rights video game wise and was able to use Spider-Man, although they officially didn't show the copyright until a later revision, but everything else, what the hell happened? Well, according to a Retro Gamer interview, the game's main designer, one Noriyoshi Oba, admitted that he was the one that came up with these designs, and he expected the designer of the sprites to add a bit of creative flair to his drawings, which he didn't, and the final product was, well, it was this, one of the very best games ever released. And for you retro collectors out there, you gotta be careful as to which version you play, as there are at least 4 revisions of this game, all based on these nicked IPs. And best of all, if you get Sega Smash Pack, that version actually has a prototype of the game, which I assume was accidental, but still, that's pretty cool. You know what the problem with Rambo is? Oh, that's a sentence to wind up the majority of dads watching, right? Well, if you ask me, it's not very realistic. Just look at this dude. Sure, we can all build up a little bit of muscle ourselves, but look at this guy. It's unrealistic, and I'm not even sure this guy even exists in real life. However, Mambo? That's more like it. Sensible haircut, Harry Potter glasses. This is far more like it. Mambo the game was a Spanish release for the ZX Spectrum. It did also get a couple of ports to the Amstrad CPC and MSX, and for the time, reviews were actually better than you would expect. And guys, considering it's an old home computer game, I gotta kind of agree. Obviously, you're not going to want to spend too long playing it, but it is playable. You go left to right, shooting endless amounts of bad guys, getting rather annoyingly stuck on top of these mines, which you need to deactivate by tapping the shoot button at the exact right time. Not that hard once you work it out. And that's it. Honestly, I didn't complete it, as every level is exactly the same, but still, I gotta admit, I didn't mind playing this one. Now looking at the inlay, it gives us a slightly better look at Mambo's gun. Wait, is that even a gun? Well, according to the inlay, no, it's not. You see, Mambo here has decided to spend his retirement days in between two coconut trees in a hammock, chilling out and playing the most awesome campfire music imaginable. That was until the evil CSI, that's the Cosmic Sisters influence obviously, from the planet Freak, decide to set off these abandoned missiles from inside some rainforest somewhere on Earth, and Mambo has taken it upon himself to magically change his guitar into a gun. Yeah, like I said, way more realistic than Rambo. Classic gamers, as I like to call them instead of old gits, will remember a simpler time when entire box sets and endless movie choices wasn't the norm, but instead these wise old men will for some reason cherish a time when the only way to get off to moving images of a girl that's totally going to get her nurse's degree one day would not only need to go to a video rental shop, but you would need to also enter through a secret hanging chained doorway to browse a rather extensive selection of overpriced VHSs, all for the sake of 37 seconds of pleasure. You had to work for this sort of fun back in the day, guys, and you teenage lads who know the perfect proxy site to get around your parents' internet restrictions have no idea how easy you've got it. Well, in the world of video games, it was no different, as you young lads nowadays wanting to get off to crazy adult themed video games can do via the magical world of the internet. But back in the day, at least in Korean arcades from what I've heard, there would be a small room in the back guarded by those forever luring hanging chained doors. And inside would be a simple assortment of puzzle and mahjong arcade games where the winner gets to see some boobies. Now, for anyone that's downloaded ROM packs from MAME would tell you these games are not too hard to find nowadays, as there are absolutely loads of them. But today, the one we're going to be chatting about is of course Fantasia. Why? Because whilst all these machines had naked chicks plastered all over the screen, this one went a step further by letting you play as a whole variety of stolen lookalikes. You've got Arnie, Bruce Willis, Stallone, Robocop, Indiana Jones, and of course, Michael Jackson. What do these characters mean for the game itself? Well, nothing much. They're just here to make the cabinet stand out against the filth that was no doubt either side of it back in the day. And the game itself? Well, it's essentially just a copy of another game called Quicks, a game that requires you to cut out oddly shaped silhouettes to reveal the picture behind without getting hit by all of these bugs. This version does mix it up a little, however, as it's very well known that these 6 guys all love the naughty areas of a lady, and you're gonna stay in the game longer if you reveal those bits first. Oh yeah, who wants one last fact about this game before we move on? Fantasia gained a fair few sequels, as you probably already know. However, what you may not know is that floating around online somewhere there is actually a release made for English speaking folk. However, the sites that do know about this claim that one of the girls is a tad underage. Should we move on? Long-time watchers of the show will remember a video I did way back when, talking about the history of Popeye. I talked about the humble creations of Popeye back when he used to shake the feathers of a wiffle hen rather than eat loads of spinach to get his powers. And of course, I chatted about his video games too. And as it was so long ago, I feel it's fine to show it off once again. Popeye 3 Wrestle Crazy. it's really not a very good game. The story goes a little something like this. Our hero Popeye has been kidnapped by the evil Krags, who wish to conquer the universe. To find out what planets are vulnerable, an intergalactic wrestling contest has been arranged. Popeye has been chosen to represent Earth and must wrestle against 5 different vicious aliens to save our world from the Krags. Okay. Besides the artwork and the poster looking pretty spot on, my guess is that the creators of the game had no real intention of sticking to the source material. But anyway, that's neither here or there. What's interesting about this isn't the blatantly obvious stealing of the WrestleMania logo, but instead those aliens that you actually fight in the game. 3 of them are pretty standard and generic, but the other 2, well, let's see if you can work them out. Yep. That's the alien from Alien, better known in this game as Torquus, and that's the robot B-9 from Lost in Space, better known as Andrek 5 in this game. Nah, you know what? I'm alright, mate. This one goes out to commenter Nicholas Mace, who has been asking for me to cover Godzilla video games for as long as I can remember. Well, be careful what you wish for, Nicholas. This is the movie monster game developed by Epix. Yep, the same Epix that made the California video games, which they will remind you about very shortly. And this game, which is very similar to King of Monsters, is, well, it's essentially King of Monsters, because all you gotta do is fight, fight, fight. Well, actually, there are a few different game modes in this. There's one where you run away. There's one where you look for something. To be fair, it's actually not too bad a game at all. But that's not why you're here. And you're probably confused, as you can see that Godzilla is actually licensed this time. And fair play to Epix. They went and got the rights to use Godzilla, and they didn't bother with any of the other monsters. Ever wanted to put Godzilla and the Blob against each other? I know I have, and in this game, you can. Well, okay, he's called the Glog, but you get the idea. You got Spectre instead of Mothra, Mechatron instead of Megatron, Tarantus instead of Kumonga, and my personal favourite out of all of these has to be Mr. Meringue instead of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So as you sit in the cinema after a lengthy loading screen, you are treated to adverts just like the real cinema, and the game begins. And honestly, like I said, it's alright. Actually, playing it again, it wasn't all that fun. I used to own this one, guys, and I remember it being fun. It's not that good anymore. Damn you, Retro Gaming Channel, you've just ruined another childhood memory for me. Japan has a whole heap of mangas that if I wasn't doing videos like this, I would have absolutely no idea even existed. And this one is pretty high on the obscure list. Pyu to Fuku Jaguar, or however you pronounce that, is a gag manga about this guy who is stupidly good with a recorder. So good, in fact, he can make it sound like an electric guitar, apparently. And the manga became so popular that a movie got made, a series of shorts were created, and apparently some hugely popular boy band was seen reading one of the mangas in a music video called Boy in Love, which propelled the popularity even more. I mean, I don't know, guys. Regardless, when stuff like this gets popular, it's obviously going to result in some video games too, and this IP got free, but the one we're going to be looking at today is, oh my god, okay. Pyu to Fuku Jaguar Byu to Deru MEGANE-KUN. This is a very, very weird game. You fight a duck-cat swordsman, interact with a character that is 100% not Astro Boy, fighting stages that are a little more inspired than Castlevania than they perhaps should be, before turning the game into a brawler, a platformer, and an RPG. Obviously it's Japan, and whilst random music plays that's definitely not the A-Team theme, right? Oh, quick side note, by the way, guys. Has anyone actually heard the music from the classic A-Team game? Check this out. Why is it Star Wars? Anyway, the game then turns into an NES game, which definitely isn't Zelda, before definitely not becoming Yaya Kung Fu. Yes, I know Konami owns that one, whatever. You then fight Metroids, play the first level of Gradius. Guys, this is a very, very weird game. If you've got this far, then you're probably going to be able to complete it. It's not that hard, and what you've seen here is hopefully a good taster of what the game actually is all about. And you know what? In all fairness, it's quite a good game, even if I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the storyline department. And here we are, the top spot, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, that last one, I will admit, was a bit of a mixed bag, besides the A-Team theme ripoff. But this one, well, I bet none of you was expecting me to put this one down. Actually, you know what? Stop the music, cut the visuals. I'm just going to say the name of this one, and let's just see how many of you guys get it. Ready? Ghost and Booster. Yes, the ghost on this video's title screen is actually from this game, and it's a game called Ghost and Booster for the ZX Spectrum. No, seriously guys, this game is Ghost and Booster. Originally released alongside a whole mess of other titles in an Italian Spectrum magazine called Load and Run, this one is something truly special. You drive what looks like a Ghostbuster meets Mystery Inc. machine and stop at every single house to take down the ghosts. Well, actually, there's only two ghosts. There's this big one, you've got a lizard-looking thing, or simply a horrid-looking green monster, as the magazine describes it, Dracula, another Dracula, and finally, the very best out of the bunch, the actual ghost from the Ghostbusters logo. What were they thinking? Okay, you know what, guys? I gotta admit, I actually like this game. Whilst recording footage, I managed to turn a pretty simple 3-minute experience into a shade over 30 minutes of footage. I like it, what can I say? Limited run games, get on it and release a full price box set of 2,000 copies, I'll buy them all. So the game basically involves this van moving itself along a few spaces before the game starts, and then all you have to do is hit the correct direction on your joystick or ESX to kill the monsters. The lizard doesn't like the silver pellets, the big ghost thing hates it when you stab it with a sword, and the two different Dracula forms die when you select the cross, obviously. And the ghost from the Ghostbusters logo requires you to do nothing, which is exactly what the Ghostbuster logo means, doesn't it? Oh my god, it makes so much more sense now when you think about it. You're not supposed to boost the ghost. You just let it be. These guys aren't pest control for ghosts. They're on a protest, and it's a protest to stop stabbing ghosts. Anyway, the game is actually quite fun, guys. Like I said, boost as many as you can and do it quickly or you will die. It's as simple as that. Basic as all hell, and honestly, it is actually worth playing. And if, like me, you find it too hard to beat, you could just look in the magazine as they tell you what line to change in the code to get full health. Ah, that's nice. Hey there guys, thanks for checking out the video. I want to give a big massive shout out to all of my Patreons, but first, if you want to support the show by simply buying video games, then any of these ones that you're seeing on the screen or anything over at Play Asia, if you're going to be using those affiliate links below, it really does help the show. So, please go and do that. But anyway, yes, back to those Patrons with a big massive shout out going to Gary Pinkett, That Retro Video Gamer, Mantis, Ryan Burford, Andrew Dalton, Ben Jackson, Jonathan Hayward, Christopher Turnbull, Phil Lowlins, Tomek Grabowski, Retro to Next Gen, Hawk89, Dina Robertson, Dunn, Lefty, Intrigued Gaming, Abby Morris, Tim Labonte, Asobi Crane DX, Tim Lunn, Hernandez, Pixels.Limited, aka Samuel Victor, Red the Beard, Conrad Constantine, Pretendo64, Kareem the Elephant, Casey Garner, Blitz, Hedgie, Kinglink Reviews, Gemma Mr. Tees, Shirts, Wobbles and Bean, The Wonder Ducks, The Old Hamburger, B.U. Wright, Dan Petit, Mike H. Fell, Lucas Soft Sale, Gregory Arden, Ronnie Method, SSWB, Solex Captor, Jeremy Rodriguez, Nick Pollard, Bram Perez, Marcus Kingham, Cut Tyndall, June, The Geeky Dad, Richard Carter, aka Fantastic Dizzy, Todd Paul, Float G, and of course Petty Mew. If you want to get your name shouted out, get your name shown, come and see what I'm working on, and all of the other usual stuff that these awesome Patreons seem to get all the time on my very bloggy Patreon, then go and click the link that you see on the screen. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you prefer. And also, to all of you people out there that are sharing my content over on places like Reddit and, well, all the other forums that I'm seeing in the back end, I just want to say a massive, massive thanks to you. It really, really does help bring new traffic to the channel, so thank you all for doing that, and, you know, please continue to do that. But yes, anyway, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.